Hey guys, it's ATG and welcome back to Glitch Shop. Mario Kart Wii is my favorite video game ever, and it also has some of the best glitches in any game I've ever played. That's why for a long time now, I've wanted to make this video, but due to a lack of, well, skill, I haven't been able to pull off all of the glitches that I would want to put in it. But just recently, I decided to give it another go, and I put a lot of effort into getting all of these glitches done. So I hope you enjoy, and let's go. We'll start off in Coconut Mall. Once you get your back wheel lined up right about here, you're going to want to start charging a standstill mini turbo and turn 90 degrees. When you're centered with this sign, you know you're in the right position. Now just mushroom off the railing and you should fall out of bounds. Now, it may seem like you're trapped in this area, but one wall over here is not solid and you can go right through by going on this small edge. Be careful though, because if you fall off, you will be respawned back in bounds. And there you go, you are now out of bounds in Coconut Mall. Even the parking lots are fair game. And speaking of the parking lots, there's also an ultra shortcut that you can do in the parking lot. Now, I won't explain ultra shortcuts in complete detail as they're somewhat complicated, but here's a quick explanation of how this ultra shortcut works. This is the checkpoint map for Coconut Mall. The red line is the starting line, the green lines are key checkpoints, and the blue lines are just used for respawns. Now, in order to complete a lap, you need to cross the finish line, but in order for it to register, you need to cross the finish line having been in the previous key checkpoint. Now, when you cross the finish line backwards, it subtracts a key checkpoint, meaning you would be on key checkpoint -1 and lap 0. So crossing this line again would just cause you to go back to lap 1. But starting at the point we were at, out of bounds, we can go around past the finish line and then hit that last checkpoint through the parking lot and then drive past and trick the game into completing a lap. But that's enough of the technical stuff. Now let's get back to the—
You just got coconut mauled.
Sorry about that. Now back to where we were. You're going to want to go through this wall, then drive around the parking lot. Now you're going to enter the last key checkpoint by driving through these 3 cars. And then enter the first checkpoint by driving through this grass. You can choose to go back in bounds here, or you can choose to stay out of bounds and do this for the next 2 laps. That's right, you can perform this glitch on all 3 laps. Now, with one glitch down and 4.5 minutes into the video, let's go on to the next one. The next glitch takes place in Wario's gold mine. This one's pretty tricky to pull off, but once you get the hang of it, you can do it rather consistently. When the race starts, you want to line up right about here. Then, start charging a standstill mini turbo, Now line up the middle of your character's head with the side of this pipe, also letting go of your standstill mini turbo. Now this part's kind of fast, so I'm going to slow it down a bit. You want to start accelerating and use your mushroom both at the same time, then in the air start holding left, and before you hit the pipe start holding drift. If done correctly, keep holding all these buttons down and you will pop through the bridge and back onto land. Congrats, you've now done another ultra shortcut. Now drive back towards the finish line and complete the lap. And if you're absolutely insane at Mario Kart and manage to do this 3 times in a row, you can get a lap count for all 3 laps. The next glitch is in Mushroom Gorge. This is one of the most infamous glitches in Mario Kart Wii. It's also one of, if not my favorite. There are multiple ways to perform this glitch, but my personal preference includes drifting off the edge right about here, wheeling using a mushroom, and then tricking off the bouncy mushroom. Now you want to tilt your bike upwards, that way you can ride up this wall. For some reason in Mario Kart Wii, mushroom physics do not stop if you hit a wall. Now you just want to wrap around, making sure you're high enough on the wall to bypass the checkpoint, and then you can get a lap count. This can also be done on 3 laps. Another method of doing this glitch is by charging a standstill mini turbo, doing the mini turbo, using a mushroom and wheeling, and then bouncing off this first mushroom. Yet whenever I try to do this one, I find it much more difficult to wrap around the rock and end up doing this instead. Unfortunately, if done wrong, you cannot count the lap this way. The next glitch takes place in Ghost Valley 2. This is a pretty crazy wall clip glitch which will let you skip a considerable amount of the track. To start, I like to line up my back tire with the middle of this square on the finish line. Then I charge a standstill mini turbo and line up parallel to the finish line. Then I release the mini turbo, mushroom and wheelie, and boom. You have just skipped the whole first corner, and if done fast enough, that can cut off a good chunk of time. I have a feeling that the way people do this glitch definitely comes down to preference, because I was never good at this, and I don't think before this video I've ever made it, but when I found my lineup, I started making it consistently, all 3 laps. The Bowser's Castle shortcut is one that I find myself frequently taking multiple attempts on. It involves an almost perfect lineup and a very well-timed mushroom. The idea is to go off the side of this half pipe and have enough airtime and speed to go through the wall and onto a further part of the track. And as you can see by this attempt, this one is precise. It's difficult to pull off, but super satisfying when you do. With your back tire about here, you're going to want to line up just to the right of these 2 bolts. Now when you're ready, accelerate, and then whilst in midair, use a mushroom to keep your airtime and speed. And even after all that, I consistently find myself hitting this wall after performing the shortcut. This one takes a lot of practice, but I'll be honest when I say when I pulled it off for the first time, I felt so cool. Here's a fun little cut that you can do on Toad's Factory. When you go off this ramp, start drifting right in midair, and when you hit this first bump, hold left while you're drifting right. This allows you to get more height than usually going off this bump, and you can skip over the lake. There is some precision to this one, so it's still easy to mess it up. This is just about one of the craziest ultras in Mario Kart Wii. When the race starts, go to about this spot on the finish line. Now, charge a standstill mini turbo, release it, mushroom, and wheelie, and go onto this rock. You can use this corner as a visual marker of where you need to go. Once you're on this rock, all you have to do is drive around it, and you will start completing laps. The reason this works is because the front of this rock is in the checkpoint region, but the back of it is not. And since the finish line is placed in the middle of this rock, you can basically enter the checkpoint you need to, drive forward into the first one, then go back around the first one and into the last one. I actually made an in-depth explanation video of this in 2020. It was the first video of what was supposed to be a series covering all the ultra shortcuts in Mario Kart Wii. And said series is what has now been morphed into this video. Here it is, my favorite glitch in the game, Maple Treeway. In my opinion, this glitch manages to be the coolest glitch in the game, while also technically being the most useless. When you get to this part of the track, go next to the sign and line up with the tip of the house in the reflection of the water. Now, this is kind of hard to explain, but what you want to do is start holding A and B like you're charging a standstill, but instead of holding B, just quickly tap it multiple times over and over. Once you get to the edge and you start glitching on it, you want to start holding down B. When you do it right, you fall and the camera goes all over the place. But now you are successfully out of bounds. You can literally drive anywhere you want underneath the stage, unless you go out too far, then you will fall off. But the amount of area that you can just explore is absolutely mind-blowing. Mario Circuit is another glitch which in my opinion is very difficult. It requires a precise lineup and a wall clip off of this tree to go over this wall and then land in the other side of the track. Then you have to backtrack to underneath this tunnel, hit a wall, then you can proceed to complete the lap. I'm not going to say a perfect lineup pretending like I know, because I'm absolutely terrible at this and it took me like 15 attempts to even get it once, so I'm definitely not an expert on this one. Bowser Castle 3 is another shortcut that's pretty tricky at first, but when you find your preferred lineup, can be pretty consistent. There's two ways to do this shortcut, just the regular shortcut or the ultra shortcut. I will be showing the ultra shortcut. You want to line up your back tire right about here, then aim for this part of the wall, then release your standstill mini turbo and mushroom. This is another shortcut that takes some practice but is super satisfying to do. This glitch is unrelated to races, but did you know that if you select a character, then unselect it, and then have another player select that same character and unselect it, then you exit the menu and re-enter, you can both play as the same character. The animations will be the same whether you're on a cart and the other person's on a bike or not. This is the solution I'm sure everybody needed when fighting over Bowser Jr. to race. And to my knowledge, that's all the glitches in Mario Kart Wii, not including tasks. I'd like to end off this video with a quick compilation of shortcuts that aren't necessarily glitches, but I would love to show off anyway. So thank you for watching, and here we go.